Good morning. This is Eric Wargott. I'm chairman of the Parks and Shade Tree Commission, and I want to welcome you all here. I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Matt.
Hello? Max, are we on?
I lost this.
Yes, you're free to proceed, Chair.
I lost this.
Very good. So I want to read a notice into the record. Please note, as permitted by gubernatorial authority, in order to limit the risk of potential COVID-19 exposure, the public shall be denied entry to the Parks and Shade Tree Commission meeting. The public is encouraged to participate in the Parks and Shade Tree Commission meeting electronically. The instructions were listed at the bottom of the public notice. So the meeting is now called to order. The roll call is Commissioner Kesmadel with us today.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Macha?
Present.
Commissioner Downs?
Present.
Commissioner Ritter?
Oops, she's
Commissioner
muted.
Ritter with us?
Oh, yes, I am here. I'm present.
Very good. We also have the city solicitor, Glenn Mendelis. Mr. Mendelis, are you with us?
Good morning, everybody.
Good. And as usual, we welcome our city arborist, Liz Lingo. And I assume you are here or will be. Liz, are you here?
Yeah, I forgot you couldn't
Okay.
see me. I waved.
Yeah, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm strictly by voice today. And I want to thank everyone else with us today, those listening in, the appellants and their representatives, and of course, Mr. Hambly and his staff with the IT department who helps handle and manage these calls and Zoom meetings. Thank you very much. I want to welcome our new members. I believe this is the first meeting for Commissioner Catherine Downs and Commissioner Laura Ritter. So welcome. We're glad to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Womack is not able to join us today, so Mr. Mendelis will be wearing two hats today. So Mr. Mendelis, is there any correspondence we need to be aware of?
There is no correspondence.
Thank you very much. And as you saw earlier from an email, there are no minutes to approve. We will approve September minutes and the minutes from today's meeting at our next forthcoming meeting. So let's move on to old business. It's a continued discussion from appeal hearing number 0720-01 on August 24th, 2020, in which James and Karen Hutchison, the owners of property located at 127 Rodney Street, presented their case, and we're looking towards a possible decision regarding a request to remove one street tree located between the sidewalk and curb. That's the outstanding issue. If you recall, commissioners, the two trees within their property lines were dealt with at that meeting. So we just have this remaining tree to address, and we were awaiting some drawings submitted by the applicant regarding utilities and their location to the tree in question. Is there anyone here? Are James and Karen Hutchison here, or somebody representing their interest today? There is not. Okay. So commissioners, this is, you may recall this, Commissioners Cosmedel and Machis, when you were here on the last meeting call, that we dealt with the two on the property, and we approved them with some mitigation, and now we're dealing with this one remaining tree, which is at the basically in the city property, which they would like removed. Do you have any thoughts on what we should do with that tree?
Well, I thought
the applicant's request.
Liz, I thought they were supposed to get back with where the utility lines were.
Liz, I wonder if you could tell us where we are.
Sure. So after the meeting in which you guys approved the removal of the trees on their property with the planting plan, they never submitted an approvable planting plan to me. So that still has not been finalized on our end. And I've contacted them a couple of times regarding that with no sufficient result. And then pursuant to our last meeting where you all asked about the utilities and further information for the street tree, I attempted to contact them a couple of times again and have also heard nothing in reply. And then, of course, since then, we've actually, the city and the Building and Licensing Department has actually issued a demolition permit to the property. So I don't know if that's changed their plans or, I mean, typically those things are in the works for many months. So it might have been, in conjunction and now they've changed their mind. I'm just not sure.
Well, I say we just
So,
make
Commissioner-
the tree there.
Is that a motion, Commissioner?
Yes, it's a motion that the street tree remains.
So that their request is denied.
Yes, for that tree.
Is there a second?
Well, can I add on to that? I would say it's denied until we receive, an update. I mean, obviously
Well, they've had enough time to do an update. I mean, this is ridiculous. And if they're rebuilding the house anyway, I just think we have given them months and months and months to come up with something and it hasn't happened. So just say the tree will remain.
Well, again, let's try to remain in order here. And so the order for those members who, if I can refresh memory, is a motion is made. We don't have discussion until we see if there's a second to it. And then we can take a vote. And if it's voted down, we can certainly offer an amended motion. So
I'll
we
second
have
the motion.
Okay, so the motion is seconded. Is there any discussion about the motion to deny the permit to remove this tree that exists on a city property?
Yeah, this is Rachel. I actually have a question, I guess, is as to why this case came back up onto our docket if there wasn't really anything else to report out on it.
Because we need to address things, matters in what we would consider a timely matter, and it's been several months. And the appellant has had, we believe, ample opportunity to submit the information. We don't have it. It's up to the purview of the committee to decide if truly enough time has passed or not. But we have hopefully that answers your question. But we do have a seconded motion, a live motion on the, ready to go following the discussion. So we can see where it lands.
So, sorry, one more question. So if they do submit a planting design, realizing they've got this demolition sign now in front of their property, will they have to then fill out another application for that one tree?
I think if this motion passes, yes. I mean, I think what's going on is you've got something pending on your docket that I think they've appeared before you last August, and the commission likes to keep things rolling off of their docket. So I think today is an effort to resolve the case entirely. And so to the extent they want to come back, yeah, I think it would be a new submission.
Okay.
And I agree that I feel the same. I mean, as far as not allowing them to take it down in this,
They don't seem to be interested. They don't seem to be really interested in taking it down. It doesn't seem to be on their docket. So I don't think they care about it anymore. So I think we should just say leave it up.
Yeah, I just
Okay,
honestly, from our meeting two meetings ago, so that would have been October, maybe it was September. I thought that they had actually had the utility people come out, but it was so close to our meeting that we didn't have the information to look at. Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, I believe so. We had encouraged them at our August meeting to pursue that, pursue that and provide us information. And a hand drawing was submitted, I believe, by them, but we couldn't be certain that it was an official drawing of where utilities were, and we really needed from the utilities, so we know exactly where these things are. In addition, I want to ask our Mr. Mandela, so do we have anyone from the public who has signed up to speak on this particular matter?
No, I don't think there's anybody signed up to speak. And I'm looking at the participants in the Zoom session right now, and I don't see any members of the public other than people participating in the next cases coming before you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any more discussion on this motion before I call a vote?
I would like to say, I went to the address, and the tree that I think that we're talking about is, as Liz reported in the arborist report, was very badly pruned and is very misshapen, and it's not exactly a tree that I think is really serving the city well. So if we approve them removing it if they remove it, then they're supposed to replace it according to what I think I read in the arborist report. I think in a way we'd be better off letting them I'm not in favor of removing a tree, but that particular tree is not serving the streetscape at all, I don't think.
I think you're on the wrong one. I think you're talking about
344 Hickman.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah, we're talking about
we're
a case
one-
before you even joined.
it's under old business.
oh, okay, I'm
business.
sorry, then I'm really thinking of the wrong tree.
Yeah.
Very good.
These trees are actually nice Zelkovas.
Yeah.
If there's not any other discussion, I'd like to call the vote.
Go ahead. That's
Okay?
fine. Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Kesmadel,
Yes.
Commissioner Macha,
Yes.
Commissioner Downs,
Yes.
Commissioner Ritter,
Yes.
and I am a yes, so it's unanimous. Thank you very much, Commission. The permit to remove the city tree is denied at 127 Rodney Street.
Oh my
Under
goodness.
new
that wasn't
business,
good at all.
And by the way, if when we're not speaking, it's been very quiet. You all are excellent. We're all doing great, but it helps to have your device on mute when you're not ready to speak. Just a reminder. Under new business, we have two matters. Matter A, the purpose of this meeting is to conduct an administrative appeal hearing pursuant to the Comprehensive Tree Ordinance, Chapter 253 of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach. And the first is appeal hearing number 1120-03, requested by James Williamson, owners of the property located at 119 Columbia Avenue, pursuant to Section 253-36 of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach, and pertains to the appeal of a denial of a permit to remove one tree due to construction. Public notice for 119 Columbia Avenue, City Arborist report for 119 Columbia Avenue, and application for 119 Columbia Avenue from November 13th, as well as other supporting documents have been submitted, and you all should have had them for review prior to the meeting. Is the appellant or the representative available to speak to us today?
Good morning. Yes, James Williamson is here. How are you?
Very good, sir. And you?
I am well. Thank you.
Good.
Morning, all.
Good. Please proceed.
Hi, Liz. Great. Well, so good morning. Thank you, commissioners, for taking the time to consider our appeal for the removal of one oak tree in our front garden. I'll just give you a little background. We purchased the property in 2015 with the intent of keeping the small cottage and not tearing it down or doing a larger build. Other than paint, the property's had little to no improvement since it was first built in '62. So to improve the cottage, we now have a permit and are in construction to enclose the front porch, upgrade the kitchen, and improve the bathrooms, and we're putting a pool in the back. All of that's been approved for permit. As part of the improvements, we're moving our main entrance from the side of the property to the front and looking to create a walkway to the front door for ease of access and for deliveries. We're also adding our 2 on-site parking spots, reducing our hard surface coverage below city limits and increasing the natural ratio of coverage in the front to greater than 50% in the first 15 feet of the house. So you'll see in the supporting documents, the tree up for discussion is a 24-inch diameter oak that's in the footprint of the proposed front walkway. Removing it will allow us to complete the walkway and provide additional sunlight to the front of the house to support new grass, shrubs, and flowers to increase the natural coverage. We have an existing 36-inch oak and pine tree to the left of the house and a 24-inch oak on the right that both provide substantial shade in the summer. And you can see from the photos that the extent of shade doesn't really support plant growth right now in the front. So previous owners and ourselves have added pea gravel because it gets muddy. And what we're trying to do is reduce that pea gravel and add more plant growth in the front of the cottage and to build the walkway to the front door. We're also proposing, as part of this, to plant a mature oak seedling in the back garden to offset the removal of the front if it's granted. So we ask for your consideration to allow us to remove the 1 tree so we can install the front walkway and plant additional plantings to increase the green space. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your remarks. Ms. Lingo, City Arborist.
Sure. The following is the report of the City Arborist with regard to the above referenced appeal that is to be heard before the Commission on December 21, 2020. The applicant applied to remove 2 oaks and 4 dogwoods related to construction at 119 Columbia Avenue. The permit was partially approved to remove a 12-inch diameter oak and 4 dogwoods with diameters of 3, 4, 4, and 10 inches. That resulted in 18 inches of mitigation met by remaining trees. The remaining trees include 2 line trees, 6 trees, 4 to 24 inches in diameter on the lot, and the front 24-inch diameter oak tree in question. If this tree's removal is allowed today, there will be no planting requirements for the lot. The specimen oak is in good condition and lies about 1/2 to 1 foot in the path of the front walkway specified at 5 feet in width. As shown in the attached photograph, the tree does not block the front door egress. Building and licensing made suggestions to the applicant to retain the tree, which are commonly made to contractors building within the city. As shown in the attached email, such suggestions include narrowing the front path to 4 feet, creating an L-shaped walk or curved walkway, or allowing a small cutout for the tree. These suggestions and subsequent decision were made pursuant to 25330 and 25326. 25332A, tree removal permit. No tree removal permit shall be issued unless the city finds that at least one of the following criteria is satisfied with respect to each protected tree designated for removal. Number 7, the tree prevents reasonable development of a lot that is otherwise permissible under city ordinances. However, a tree removal permit shall not be granted where the applicant has failed to design and locate the proposed improvements, demolition, or subdivision so as to minimize the removal of trees consistent with the permitted use of the lot, and shall be only granted after full considerations of alternatives under 253.35 of this article. 253.26F. All reasonable efforts must be made to save protected trees on a lot. Reasonable efforts shall include, but not be limited to, alteration of building design, alternate location of building, parking area, water retention or drainage infrastructure, or relocation of utilities. The Commission has the authority to hear and decide the appeal. 253.36 Administrative Appeals. C. Authority of the Park and Shade Tree Commission. The Park and Shade Tree Commission shall have the authority to hear and decide appeals where it is alleged that there is an error in any decision made by the building inspector on an application for a tree removal permit or land clearing permit. In exercising its authority, the Park and Shade Tree Commission may reverse or affirm, wholly or in part, or may modify the building inspector's decision. Additionally, the Park and Shade Tree Commission has the authority to order a fee in lieu of mitigation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lingo. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the city arborist or the appellants at this point? Mr. Mandelis, do we have anyone from the public signed up to comment on this matter?
I don't believe we do, and I'm sorry I don't have that up in front of me right now. There's nobody in the waiting room that I see other than Mr. Williamson and members of the commission.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I would like to ask the applicant if they considered any other designs, like maybe an off-centered front door or any other architectural designs for the entranceway.
We did. In fact, we actually had an entirely different layout that we submitted in June, I think, and that got denied. So we then changed and went to this plan. We had actually proposed doing our 2 on-site parking spots in the front of the house, but the tree was actually in the way, and so the removal of the other trees that Liz referenced is in order to achieve those 2 parking spots off on the property. So we've looked at a couple different designs. The center entrance is what we settled on. And right now it's a 10-foot wide porch, not porch, but like a step entry, and then a 5-foot wide walkway to get from the street to the door.
Can I make a comment? For the applicant, it does appear that you could get a regulation with step, because you'll probably need 1 step to get down from your from the landing. You'll just need 1, and then you would be able to still put in your step at whatever width you wanted. And then you could narrow and probably center your a 4-foot walkway on that, or bump in both sides and make a walkway, so you could potentially leave the tree, is what it appears to me to be able to do as an idea. I mean, I understand why you want to take it down, but I mean
the other issue really for us really is the amount. There's so much shade that everything is muddy all the time, and we've tried to plant azaleas in the front and boxwoods in the front and grasses in the front, and everything dies. So what we've got the 2 big oak trees on both sides, and what we're hoping to do is get a little bit more sunlight onto the front of the property so that we want to put grass and boxwoods and plants, but it doesn't seem to sustain any growth.
Good. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
This is Jeff Naird of Sussex Tree.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hey,
Hello,
I just
Jeff.
have one quick comment on that tree. My concern is that the root structure is going to be compacted, and by him parking in that front, he's going to lose that tree anyway. Your feeder roots are only about 2 to 3 inches in the ground. You've already got pea gravel there. Okay, I think we're going to compact it to the point that you end up losing half of that tree.
Any other comments, commissioners, or motion to bring forward?
I think the owners have tried to design an attractive house. There are a lot of trees on there. As Liz said, they don't even have to add anything if they take this tree down. And they've also agreed to add a tree to their property. And I think they should be allowed to take it down, because I think it would ruin their design, and I think it would interfere with their egress. It's right smack in your face. So
I'll interrupt with that. In building and licensing's view, it does not interfere with egress. It's the desire for symmetry and the 5-foot width. So they have to have.
I would think I was going to walk right in the tree every time I came out the door. So I just.
Well, not if you're on the walkway. But in response
right.
to what Jeff said a minute ago, they have been parking in that gravel area, but the parking is going to be relocated. I believe they're doing drive strips, right? Drive strips on the right-hand side. So there shouldn't be any parking. There just would be the walkway and additional plantings because they had to come in conformance with the 50% green space in the front yard or natural area. Sorry, it doesn't have to be green.
This is Rachel. I was just going to make a comment. The fact that you're obviously moving the front door from the side to the front is obviously a driver for this tree to be removed as well. I agree with Katie. As I looked at this and was by there over the weekend, I feel like just a more narrow walkway would allow you to keep the tree and still have a nice entranceway if you still choose to have that front door in the front. But it is a nice tree. I just would really hate to see it come down.
Well, we don't have a valid motion before us. The discussion is if there's more questions, that's fine. If anyone has a motion, that's also fine. We can see.
You know me, I'm always ready for a motion. So I move that there be allowed to take the tree down because of the egress problem. And they've already designed the house and it's already basically almost finished the outdoor front part of it. And they have enough trees on the property and they've agreed to add another oak tree. I think the owners have some rights.
We'll add 2 oak trees.
Is there a second? I will second it. It's the prerogative as chair to second it. So is there any further discussion on this motion to allow removal of the tree? There's no other discussion. Let me take a roll call vote and see where we stand. Commissioner Kesmodel.
Yes.
Commissioner Macha.
I vote no.
Commissioner Downs.
I'm sorry, but I vote no.
Commissioner Ritter.
Well, this is my first vote and I'm conflicted because I do understand the problems, but I feel like if we don't really fight for every tree, we're not doing our job on the commission. So I'm going to vote no.
All right, and so regardless of what my vote would be, it doesn't matter. The vote fails. And so now we are open to a new motion. Or unless the commissioner wishes to try to convince others, we could take a vote on a slightly similar motion, whatever the commission's
I would just say they need to put themselves in the place of the owner that's designed this house and how it's going to totally mess it up. So,
and I would just like to point out that
for the owner and how they would feel.
Very good. And I would just like to add that I know the commission is cognizant of that suggestions to the applicants are certainly, they're certainly fine at these hearings, but please recognize that the applicant has made a decision. It's okay to ask them, but it's also okay to assume that they've looked at every possible choice before they've come here. And regardless of whether they have or haven't looked at every possibility, they're coming before us with an appeal. They've paid money to come here and appeal for a design that they want to have. They've settled on it. They want it this way. So, everyone's always very polite and cordial, and as we should be, and the appellants are as well. But please understand that we have to assume when they come that obviously this is what they want. Does that make sense? I mean, they're spending their time and their money before us, making their case, and this is what they want.
And the fact that they have plenty of trees on their property. They have tons of trees on that property, big trees. So, I just don't think it's fair.
Wh-
Well, we
What?
can't try the same,
I don't
the
understand
exact
that.
same motion.
Sorry, Eric, we didn't hear you. Could you repeat?
No, I'm just saying that, we can always, again, I'm open to further discussion and entertaining a motion that, at the desire of the commission.
May I ask the applicant if you had considered moving the front door more to the right? So it clearly isn't, near the oak tree?
I'm an architect and an interior designer, and it would, for me, the aesthetically, just because of the shape of the cottage, the entrance needs to be in the center. It's as it was, the entry was all the way on the far right, and for guests or for deliveries, people weren't clear where to come to drop things off. So when we moved it to the front, that's the natural place that we chose to put it.
And it's already done, basically. I mean,
Well, yeah, the windows are in, the doors, we're waiting for the door. And
Yeah,
It looks really pretty.
it does. I have to say, I was actually a little surprised when I went by the property this weekend that you were so far along. And then obviously having an application in to remove the tree. I almost seemed like we probably should have looked at this before.
Well, fortunately, we can do the interiors and the architecture with the tree in place. It's
Sure.
just whether or not we can get the walkway in. And we don't have a dining room, so we can't have guests over for dinner. So that's the reason why we're closing in the porch, so that we can actually have a dining room. And whether if the tree remains, we'll have to figure out how to get the walkway around it or shrink the walkway. But more importantly for me is it's just going to end up becoming dirt in the front because nothing will grow there.
Well,
Yep. Commissioner Ritter and Commissioner Macha, my big deal is how close, this is Jeff, Sussex Tree, how close that tree is to the front of his front porch.
Yeah,
Another thing, it is so close.
I hear your concern there, Jeff. I actually have a neighbor right across the street that has almost the exact use case here. And they actually did, come around the walkway. It looks actually very nice with the brick walkway. But the tree, the tree itself is very healthy and it's beautiful.
Can I make a comment in relation to Commissioner Macha's statement about the timing? So the city and building and licensing, we never feel it's appropriate to hold up a building permit. He would have been waiting, an additional month and a half when the tree does not make or break an entire design. So like the applicant said, they'll figure out a rerouting or an alternative sizing of the walkway. If this was the tree in the middle of a pool, we wouldn't issue the pool permit prior to them coming here. But in a good faith effort, which in the last 5 years has not harmed us yet, we allow them to be issued their building permits as long as they've submitted their appeal paperwork to the city and filed that fee. So that's kind of the premise we operated off on this. And it would have been nice the moment they submitted their whole plan that it could come here, but with the advertisement and all that, it just seems to never really work out in that time frame.
Yeah, no worries, Liz. Thank you.
Okay.
I just heard the statement made, we're already under construction,
Yeah. Well, just to give you a little bit, and it is a little bit of a balance, right? Like I said, if the tree was in the middle of the pool, we wouldn't have approved everything because it wouldn't have been right to let them start if there's a chance they could have been denied. But in situations like this, we always give the applicant the benefit of the doubt. So.
This is Eric. Let me just make a few comments, if I may. First of all, I assume every commissioner has walked by the property and looked at the entire grounds from different views.
Yeah.
I'm assuming all 5 of us have. But that's really important, especially for the new members to know that it's very important not to just go by drawings. If you have an opportunity, can find an opportunity to visit every site that comes before us before we take it up, that's invaluable and it's expected, unless there's some, circumstance that prevents you. So I hope everyone has.
Yes.
because that's speaking from the position of greatest knowledge. And let me just say, I think the property, I must compliment Mr. Williamson. The property is beautiful. The trees are very, very nicely kept. They're beautiful. And I would just say that we do have to make tough decisions about trees. We're not on this commission necessarily to save every tree, because sometimes construction and tree conflict, right? That's why we're here. And as much as maybe we would all like to take a position on the side of every tree, there are also other considerations, and that's the construction of the home and the value of the property with that home on it, and how the home, the architecture fits into the lot, and so many other considerations. So I don't know, it seems that there's such beauty on that lot with the old trees, everything that's there already, and the applicant is willing to plant another tree yet another tree on the property, that you know, I hope we can consider additional motions this morning on this property.
I would like to know if we're making a decision because the design that the owners has decided requires it. How would we ever deny any other tree? Because the owner would just come up with a plan that would require removal of trees. I don't understand how to balance those two things.
Well, he has plenty of trees, large tree. If this was the only substantial tree on that property, I would probably not go with this. But he has other much larger trees than 3/4 of the other people in Rehoboth does. So it's not like he's clear cutting his lot. He wants to take one tree down. He has enough trees on there that he doesn't even have to add anything if he doesn't want to.
We actually
and besides, Ms. Ritter, you were talking earlier that you thought that was the tree and you said it was poorly cut and wasn't very healthy.
That was the previous one. I went to the house and I saw exactly where this tree is, and it is close to the entrance the way they have it designed. It's close. It's not impossible, but it is close. I see I see the desire, but why does his desire for this to not have a tree, how will that be different from anybody else?
Because he has plenty of trees on his lot. He has plenty of trees on his lot.
Commissioner, I can maybe help you out a little just in the way that we review the plans. So part of my job when the plans come in is to make a determination, a professional judgment on whether or not they did indeed design around protected trees. And like Commissioner Wargott said, not all protected trees are great trees, right? Sometimes there's a big wound on the back, or the canopy is misshapen, or it's in the zone of a much better tree that's kind of, making it grow funny. So when there are small tweaks we can suggest to the design, such as rerouting a walkway or flipping a patio shape, we make them. Now, it does come with a lot of judgment and a lot of give and take. So if somebody comes in to build a new house, there are almost always trees removed. And we have to determine, did they design the house with the trees in mind? And after spending $10,000, $20,000, however much it costs to design a house, are there small suggestions we can make that won't result in another $10,000 fee for design, such as rerouting walkways, reshaping patios? We've had one recently that pushed her pool to the entire other side of the yard to save a 40-inch white oak. And that was only because they did not realize that tree was the one tree to protect on the lot. It was the best one. So that all goes into the review. And if we did not feel that there was a way to save a tree, then they would be issued a permit to remove it. A reasonable way to save a tree in terms of the design.
Well, Liz, this probably, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, Commissioner Ritter, in regard to your concern that if we do it for this one, are we setting precedent for every other case, is never denying removal of a tree. And it's important to understand that in the law regarding these matters, each lot is considered unique. There's similarities, but each one is handled uniquely and without precedent. Each lot has a different contour, different topography, different growth, different architecture, different drainage. So it's important that to understand that what we decide on one property doesn't necessarily apply to other properties or all properties. Each lot, situation, case is considered uniquely under the law. Very important to remember that, so that you don't feel that you're trapped under precedent, that you can judge each case individually when it comes to these lots and property. Correct, solicitor?
You,
That's right.
okay. I just kind of wanted to make that it's good that you reiterated that, so that in our decisions as the Parks and Shade Tree Commission, no one can say, well, you just did it for his lot, so I deserve it on mine. That's not a legal argument
Correct. They can say that, but it's not a legal argument. Correct, solicitor?
Right. So there's Latin, I think it's sui generis, which means that every lot is different. When you talk about land applications, every lot is different, brings different features to it. And so a court will not rely upon a decision that you made in one application to say you should have or should not have denied or granted a following application. The chair is right that people will make that argument and say you did this over on Hickman Street, last month, but if it gets to a legal challenge before a court of law, you're not setting precedent when you do something for one lot, then have to review another lot.
So I as the applicant, I'll do my last pitch. We have 8 significant oak trees on the property, and we're willing to plant, and that doesn't count the one that we'd like to remove. So we have 8 oak trees. We planted 6 Nordic pines. We're going to plant another oak tree in the back. We actually bought the property because of the trees. So we're not anti-tree. And I'm actually LEED USGBC accredited. I understand the purpose of the tree coverage. One of the reasons we're decreasing the coverage on our lot, because right now the previous owner actually has too much hard surface coverage. So we've had all that removed. And what we're putting back is going to be within city requirements. So I feel like we've accommodated a significant amount of, they're all good things, but we've made all these accommodations, and this is the one piece that we'd like to get approval on.
Well,
and so by removing this tree, we would still have 8 oak trees. Pine, probably 6 to 7 pine trees.
Just to clarify, 2 of the very large there's 2 very large trees still like around the 20-25 inch range, but 2 of them are actually line trees. So they technically are shared by the adjacent property owners.
Can I ask Liz a question about the specific tree in front of the house? Sure. I guess it probably goes without saying, but in your opinion, do you think that it is an incredibly nice tree that would not be able to be mitigated by planting another tree? I mean,
depends on the view you take. I mean, in another 30 years, could something they plant be as good? I mean, if we're talking about environmental benefits, yeah, sure. In another 30 years, I mean, but in another 30 years, who knows if the other 4 will be there, because they are pretty large. Aesthetically, could something they plant have a more symmetrical, full shape? Sure. That could happen with an oak, maybe 20 years. But
Please.
I mean, when we do this, I mean, I always think the whole tree code, the point is to manage and protect our trees on public and private property. And, fortunately for me, we have the 7 reasons you can be issued a permit, right? And if it doesn't fall in that, then the answer is you don't get a tree permit. When it comes to the commission, you have to weigh the benefit of the community, the negative to the community versus the individual owner. So you guys get the hard job.
Just to cut in, I've got a question real quick. Liz, is this the property where the telephone pole got moved?
Yes.
And of course, he paid for the moving of the telephone pole himself, which was, I believe, around $8,000.
Yeah, they're usually 8 to 12 when you move one. It's pretty expensive through Delmarva Power.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the yard, and we paid to move it to the property line.
Yeah, because we've paid to move them before as the city, and it's expensive. It's the same price. We don't get a deal.
Basically, he's just basically trying to do everything he can to get his property the way he wants it, basically.
Yeah.
So if you pay that amount of money for a telephone pole to move it, which he did.
Yeah.
He's trying to get his parking and everything in the front. But anyway, that's my final comment.
All right, Commission. What is your what are your thoughts at this point? We typically don't the practice is in this commission is when a motion for the applicant it fails, it's not an automatic denial of the entire permit. We need motions to approve or motions to deny, and whoever puts their motion first gets the vote, and it could be final. So,
could I ask one more question? There's another tree
of
to
course.
the left of this tree facing the property. Is that the one you're calling a lion tree? Is it also an oak? And would there be any benefit to that tree if you took this one out? Because they're not that far apart.
In this situation, in like wooded scenarios, unless you have a tree like literally growing on top of another tree, you could argue it's a break even, because you see a lot of sites that are cleared have blowdowns after they remove the taller trees. I mean, it could help the larger tree in this case. That being said, taking down the oak to the right of the one, since the one proposed for removal that we're talking about, they removed a tree to the right of that, a decently sized oak that was kind of like misshapen and damaged. So I'd say from that, it probably freed up a little bit of space.
So you couldn't say that the one advantage of taking this out would be to help the other remaining trees.
You could. I mean, you could take out every tree within 200 feet of that tree, and it would be to that tree's advantage. Every plant, every piece of turf, and just have a 200-foot mulch ring. So, I mean.
Eric?
Yes,
Should we try to move forward with another motion?
absolutely. Anytime that you feel that anyone have other comments, questions for discussion? Otherwise, let's close. I will close the discussion. Any objections to closing discussion at this point? No. Okay. So yes, we're willing to entertain a motion.
I move to deny the removal of this tree. And I'm not trying to be tough about this. I just think if we narrow the walkway in front of that front door, it will still be a beautiful entryway.
Is there a second? If there's no second, then the motion fails for lack of a second. Is there a new motion?
Well, I still like my old motion.
Well, just put it forward. Let's see if there's a second.
I
Restate it,
propose that
please.
we permit the owner to remove the tree and he plants another oak tree on his property.
Is there a second? I will second it for sake of discussion. Is there any further discussion?
Eric, don't we need to be specific about either the width or we said oak tree, but do we have to be specific about?
I'm sorry, the one there in question, the one
Right.
that they brought forward.
No. I mean, as far as the replacement, sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, typically they'll work with the arborist to determine the appropriate one. That's
And-
correct.
It doesn't need to be part of the motion is what I'm asking.
Not in
It,
this
it can be,
because
but
it can be, but it is not required in this instance because there's not a caliper requirement because they have enough trees remaining that they have enough tree caliper already on their property.
Okay, thank you.
And I
so
would
is there any,
add that if he doesn't want to plant the tree, that he donate the $500 to the city tree fund.
I'd be happy to do that. Or plant a tree.
Are you proposing
is
to
there any
modify
further
the motion?
discussion? Any further discussion?
I think we need to hold on for a moment because that sounded like a modification to the motion. Are you modifying your motion to add the $500 option?
Yeah, because, there are a lot of trees on that property. They might just want to donate the money to the tree fund.
Mr. Chair, you seconded the motion. Do you accept it as a friendly modification to the motion?
I do.
Okay.
I do. That's fine. Yes, a friendly amendment to the motion. So the motion is now to permit the tree to be removed and allow the applicant to either plant an additional tree or pay $500, donate $500 into the tree fund. And that has been seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I have a
Comments before we call roll?
I have a question. So is the $500, is that a fee in lieu? Is that what we're talking about?
Well,
I believe it's a donation. It's not required. We're requiring it.
And we'd be willing to put the tree in and do the donation.
Well, again, you can do whatever you want as a citizen of Rehoboth or outside of Rehoboth. You want it, but I think the motion is what it is, and it allows you the choice, or you can do both. That's your prerogative. It's not a requirement. Any further discussion? Let's call the vote. Commissioner Cosmedel,
yes.
Commissioner Macha.
I'm sorry, I'm still a no.
No, that's fine. Commissioner Downs,
I'm sorry, I'm still a no.
Commissioner Ritter,
This is not good. I do not want to be the decisive vote because I don't like taking down any healthy tree. But this applicant sounds like he really has preserved other trees in good condition. And I think I'm going to vote yes, much to my own amazement.
okay. So we have a tie, and the chair will make his vote known, and I will vote to allow the motion to go forward. So the motion is successful at 3-2. Thank you, everybody, for the spirited discussion, and thank you for your patience to the applicant.
Well, and
We will now move.
I appreciate what the commission is doing. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's
I'm
move on. I didn't want to put time pressure on anyone, but there is a meeting following ours. I'm glad we had that spirited discussion. We have about 20 minutes to deal with the last case. And if we need more time, but we want to be fair to the applicant, and we will just have to continue it to the next meeting. So no worries, but I think that we should be able to dispense with it in 20 minutes. I would hope or expect. So number 2, which is case number 1, has been requested by Sussex Tree Inc. Incorporated on behalf of Charles Nannicola, owner of the property located at 344 Hickman Street, pursuant to section 251.12C of the Municipal Code of the City of Rehoboth Beach. The applicant has submitted a request to remove one pear tree located between the sidewalk and the curb on 344. Will the appellant please present their case?
This is Jeff Meredith, Sussex Tree. If the commission has looked at the tree, they'll understand why they want it out. It's basically diseased and rotten and falling apart. It's in between the medium and the street, so it's a city tree. And he wants to just remove it. And I'm not sure if he wants to put anything back there. He's got plenty of tree structure on the property. He's got enough to allow, but I think Liz will make comment on this also, because she's seen it. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Thank you. Ms. Lingo?
Oh, okay, I'm already unmuted. The following is the report of the city arborist with regard to the above referenced request that is heard before the commission on December 21, 2020. The applicant has submitted a request to remove one pear street tree located between the sidewalk and curb adjacent to 344 Hickman Street. The tree is an invasive species, has poor form, and has had inappropriate pruning. There are no adjacent street trees, most likely due to the narrow right-of-way strip along the block. As per City Code, Parks and Shade Tree Commission has authority to permit the removal of street trees. 253.12 maintenance C. No person shall plant, spray, preserve, prune, remove, cut above ground, or otherwise disturb any tree on any street or municipal owned property without first receiving permission from the Parks and Shade Tree Commission. Any tree removed from municipal owned property must be replaced unless otherwise authorized by the Parks and Shade Tree Commission.
Thank you very much. Commission, do you have questions before we see if there's anyone from the public who would like to speak? Do you have any questions for the appellant or for the city arborist?
I have a question. Would you plant, I don't know whose responsibility it would be, but would the city plan to, I guess it's not, since it's a street tree, I guess it's not the property owners, I guess they don't have to, but would the city plan to replant a tree there? Or not there, but someplace around?
So Country Club Estates is kind of a little bit of a funky situation because those pear trees were all planted by the developer. So since they weren't planted by the city, they're really not under city maintenance.
Okay.
That being said, we would never plant anything there because the right of way is just too narrow to really justify spending city money planting in that small of a spot. Now, applicants have before replanted small species trees like a crepe myrtle or red bud, something that's really tiny and doesn't damage sidewalks and can grow in such a small strip. But that's totally up to the commission because like Jeff said, they do have pretty decent tree coverage on that property. I believe the front yard has like a larger Japanese maple, and then the backyard backs up to like the corner of our city park. So there's a lot of trees back in that corner.
Okay.
Very good. Mr. Mandelas, has anyone from the public informed us they wish to speak?
So on the list, Mr. Chair, is both Jeff Meredith, who's already spoken and might have more, but also Charles Nannicola, who I think is the owner of the property, is signed up to speak.
Okay, please state what you'd like to tell us this morning.
I don't think he's here.
I'm looking at the list and I don't see him in the Zoom session either. That's right.
Okay. Well, commissioners, I'm at your disposal for further discussion or motion or presentation, whatever you wish.
Eric, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we allow the pear tree to be removed. I think many of us have already driven by, if not all of us, and can see that it is really in bad shape. And I don't think it's really serving much of a purpose.
Second.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. Is there a second by Commissioner?
I'll second it.
Okay, Madel. Very good.
And I agree.
Further discussion. Any further discussion?
I kind of would like to amend it to require them to plant something, even if they have other trees.
It's not their tree. The problem is it's city, well, it's on city property, so it's really not their tree.
I know, but it's in the thing that if they want to remove a tree that is on city property, they're supposed to replace it.
No, we may require them to replace it.
Well,
but
I'm
it's not
suggesting
required.
require them to replace it.
Well,
There's-
it's up to the motion maker and the person who seconded it as to whether that, whether they're willing to accept that before we do a call on the motion.
I would
I-
not require it in this case.
I agree.
Okay.
Just
Okay,
for
so you would
reference, there has been a couple of times that you've required them to put trees back on their private property, and a couple of times when we've required them to put it back in the right of way, and a couple of times when they were exempted. So the commission hasn't really leaned one of those three ways consistently, in my experience.
Thank you. That's
That-
correct. So could you
That, it's on a
restate-
curve.
Could you restate
It's on
the
a curve.
motion? Thank you, yes. Could you restate the motion, sir? Commissioner Kesmadel.
Oh, Rachel, you mean, I think, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rachel. and
That's
then
okay.
Seconded by,
That's
I
all right.
apologize.
That's okay. I move that the applicant can remove the tree from city property. There would not be any requirement to replace the tree.
And the second,
I'll second it. I
Second.
agree.
yes. So we've entertained the possibility of a requirement. It hasn't been accepted. If this motion should fail, then you can certainly put forward an amended motion, a new motion, so to speak, not amended, but a new motion. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Let's call a roll call. Commissioner Cosmadel,
Yes.
Commissioner Macha,
Yes.
Commissioner Downs,
Yes.
Commissioner Ritter.
Yes,
Although it's unanimous. And just so you know, I always call the roll call the same way. I do it on seniority. It's not alphabetical. I know according to rules, sometimes they say the person who made the motion, but I tend to go on seniority. That's how I call it every time. So thank you very much. The motion passes unanimously. And let's move on to other business. And there's one item, scheduling a meeting. One of our members had requested maybe the meeting be moved. The history is that we always have our meeting the third Monday of the month when we have business to entertain. It normally is in person beginning at 2:00. We don't know when the remote virtual meetings will come to a close, and they were set originally almost a year ago now, close to it, 9 months or whatever, for 11 a.m. And I understand one of our members may have a conflict in the member request, the commissioner requested that we move it up and informed me, and I believe that particular commissioner, that the only spot we could probably move it on a Monday, which is where we need to keep the meeting due to other city activities, is Monday morning at 10 a.m. So it's either 10 a.m. or remain at 11 a.m. At this point in time. Would that be difficult for everyone? And would that accommodate everyone's schedule? Would that be preferable to 11 a.m. or indifferent? Please speak, let me know.
It's fine with me.
And we will entertain a formal motion to change our time.
Do you want that now?
Yes, certainly, if you wish.
I move that we change the time to 10 o'clock on Monday.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, any discussion about that? On the third Monday of the month, 10 a.m. Roll call, Commissioner Cosmadel,
Yes.
Commissioner Macha,
Yes.
Commissioner Downs,
Yes.
Commissioner Ritter.
Yes.
Very good, it's unanimous. Appreciate that. We didn't have any other published other business, but we certainly can entertain it depending on what it might be. Is there anything else anyone would like to bring up as other business before a motion for adjournment?
Eric, you're very good. I'm impressed. You're very patient.
Well, I do the best I can. You guys are excellent. It's a pleasure to serve with all of you.
So
okay, if there's no other
hold on,
business, motion.
Eric, can I ask when is the next meeting then, if you set that today? Because I believe that would put us, and we already have cases, that would put us on a holiday, but I can't pull up my calendar.
January 18 is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I
believe just like our prior month, or is it this month, we weren't able to stick to the 3rd. So we can certainly make it the second Monday. Whenever there's a holiday on a Monday, we'll try to move it up a week if you know, and Ann just needs to know to make the proper notice.
Well,
and I'm glad you,
Does that give her, yes, does that give her enough time? Doesn't
it should be. Again, that we don't need to have that as part of our meeting discussion. That's an administrative matter that Ann is used to dealing with, and she will notify us of when the next meeting is scheduled. She'll see that it's a holiday. She'll let us know.
Okay. Yeah, I think she was waiting to see what you guys decide today on the time before she made that decision.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Lingo. I appreciate you bringing that up. And you also reminded me that at the beginning of the meeting, I usually look to Ann, and in this case, the solicitor, Mr. Mendelis, to assure us and put in the record that all appropriate parties were notified and all public notices were posted. So I mentioned that now, and I ask Mr. Mendelis, have all public notices been appropriately posted and individuals notified?
They have been, and the notifications did go out, but Ann provided me with a memorandum that I'll read real quickly into the record. So her memorandum says the agenda for the Parks and Shade Tree Commission meeting was posted by Ann Womack, City Secretary, in City Hall and on the city portal on December 14, 2020, amended and reposted on December 15, 2020. The agenda notice was sent out from the city portal on December 14, 2020 and December 15, 2020. The public notice for appeal hearing number 1120-03 for the property located at 119 Columbia Avenue was posted in City Hall and on the city portal on December 2nd, 2020. The public notice was published in the Cape Gazette on December 8, 2020, Coast Press on December 9, 2020, and Delaware State News on December 4, 2020. Notification specific to this case was mailed out to property owners, addresses within 200 feet of the subject property. Signage was posted on the property. Cases for street trees are posted in the agenda. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. And sorry, normally I open with that rather than close with it, but seeing that there's no other business, I'd like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion for adjournment and for everyone to have a great holiday season.
I'll second it.
Is there a second?
Yep.
Very good. And shall I assume it's unanimous to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.